Costco stock has had a phenomenal year thus far. The stock is up actually around 45% in just 8 months. And recently the stock has been making news and headlines because they recently opened brand new stores in China, and it looks something like this. And this video essentially helped drive Costco stock price up around 6.5% in the last week, which is absolute phenomenal performance. But this of course raises the question for investors: is Costco stock overvalued? The second question I get asked a lot is Costco stock still a buy here in 2019 after this massive bull run? And then of course the third question I get asked, which I think is very important: if you're an existing investor in Costco stock, should you be looking to add more shares, maybe reducing your shares, or simply holding the stock? I'm going to answer all these questions. I'm going to share my opinions on all three of these starting right now. So first off, let's address the overvalued concerns. So Costco is currently a $133 billion company trading at a PE of around 38 with a forward PE of around 35. So clearly, just looking at this offhand comparing to the S&P 500, which is around a low 20 PE, you can see that Costco is in fact overvalued using this metric. However, a better metric to measure a stock's valuation is to compare it to its peers. And I thought the two biggest peers really to compare it to are Walmart and Target. Walmart currently has a PE of around 25 with a forward PE of around 22, and Target has a PE of around 18 with a forward PE of around 16.5. And just for good measure, let's take a look at Amazon here as well. You can see they have a PE of around 75 with a forward PE of around 54. Amazon, however, is in a completely different league in my opinion. They're almost a $1 trillion company, and they compete in many different segments, one of the biggest being cloud with their AWS platform, which contributes a significant amount of revenue and profits to the company. So I don't think that it's really fair to have a comparison directly here between Costco and Amazon. I think a better comparison would be Costco versus Target and Walmart. So now when comparing to its peers, we can see that Costco is indeed overvalued here with a PE close to 40 when its peers are closer to the 20 range. So at these prices right now at nearly $300 per share, you're paying almost a 2 times premium here on Costco versus their competitors. But wait, there is one big factor to consider here when comparing these stocks, and I'm not saying the premium here of 2x is justified, but it is something to consider. Looking at their balance sheets, you can see that Walmart has around $9 billion in cash and investments versus around $49 billion in debt. Target, on the other hand, has around $1.6 billion in cash and investments versus $11.5 billion in debt. And Costco here is the complete opposite of these two, with around $8.1 billion in cash and investments and around $6.5 billion in debt. A much better looking balance sheet. And looking further into their financials, comparing the three, we can see revenue growth has been growing for all three. However, Walmart only grew by a measly 2.8% year over year, Target grew by around 3.6% year over year, and Costco kind of dwarfed these by growing by around 9.7% year over year. Costco grew almost 3.5 times more than Walmart, so that plays a role here as to why they are valued more. But again, you gotta ask yourself the question, does this justify the fact that it's trading at a 2 times premium over Walmart? That's really a question for you to answer. I've presented the facts here, and now it's up to you to sit down, digest this, and figure out if that does in fact make sense. If you're asking for my opinion, I believe that the stock is in fact overvalued right now. So this comes to my second question here: is Costco stock a buy in 2019? In my opinion, at current prices, I would say the answer is no. The stock has climbed by a massive 45% so far this year, but the fundamentals don't really support this sort of massive run. And although Costco is in fact a great stock in my opinion to have in any portfolio, I believe at current prices, you're better off waiting for cheaper valuations than to invest here in this stock. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to be timing the stock and waiting for the absolute bottom. It just means that if I did want to buy Costco stock, I'd be waiting for a better valuation here. A PE around the mid-20s, maybe 25, 26 or so, would be a more reasonable valuation in my opinion for Costco based on its numbers, and a PE currently of around 40 does not have me interested in this stock. Now, if you're already an investor in Costco stock and you're not really sure what to do with your position, you really got to ask yourself, what is your time horizon in holding this stock? Do you plan to hold Costco for 5 years or more? If the answer is yes, then in my opinion, I would just simply hold the stock, not look at that position, not touch it, and just let it ride over the next few years. I'm sure in the next 5 years we're going to see some sort of pullback in Costco. Maybe that happens when the stock hits $400 per share and it pulls back to $300 per share. Maybe that happens now and it pulls back from around 300 to 250 or 200. We don't really know when the market is going to pull back on this stock, but I do believe that there will be a pullback at some point, and that's when the valuation may make a bit more sense for me personally. But either way, regardless of whichever scenario plays out, I believe that in 5, 10, 15 years, Costco stock will be worth a lot more than it is today. Now, if, however, you do plan to use some of these profits from your Costco position to pay off things that you need in the near term, or you just want to collect profits for the near term, then it may make sense to actually shave off some profits here at this point. The charts of Costco really show how extended the stock is, even on its weekly chart. And I would say a price around $220 to $250 per share would be much more acceptable to me. This run up in the stock has been on relatively low volume as well, compared to the volume that we saw in mid-2017 when there were fears around Costco. So if that fear does return in some form over the next few years, I expect the stock to correct quite significantly as investors start taking their profits off the table and head for the exits. Now, on the plus side, Costco could be seen as a recession-proof stock. And now, since we're late in the economic cycle, everyone's kind of predicting a recession's near, this could be a good position to hold through a recession. If you think about their business model, they sell their products pretty much at cost, and all you have to pay as a consumer is a $60 per year membership fee. Most of the time, you make up that membership fee with just a couple of shopping trips at Costco. And really, if you have the space in your house to shop in bulk, it usually makes more sense to do that versus shopping at Walmart, Target, or even Amazon. And I also didn't mention, but Costco does pay out a dividend. It's currently less than 1%, but it is still something else to add to this massive run that you've had recently. So on top of that capital appreciation that investors have seen, they've also received a nice dividend in the meantime as well. But even with all of this, even with all the good news from China, even with a good balance sheet, I personally believe that Costco stock is currently overvalued. And as an investor who's considering opening up a position here in Costco stock, I would personally wait on the sidelines here for a more reasonable valuation in Costco. And for that valuation to come to fruition, there's really one or two things that needs to happen to bring that PE even lower. Either we see the earnings and profits of Costco increase substantially in the near term to bring that PE down, or alternatively, we have to see the stock price drop substantially, which would also bring the PE down. If you're asking me which one of these two I think is more likely, I think it's the latter. I do think that the stock price will in fact correct at some point, bringing that PE to a more reasonable valuation. Guys, if you're a fan of Costco, drop a huge like down below. If you enjoy this video, of course, drop a huge like, share it with a friend, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below if you enjoy content like this. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to invest positively, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.